Hey everyone, we are finally starting a new mock, and this time it's not based off Lord of the Rings or any other movie. It's just going to be a good old castle mock with some interesting shapes. Stick around to the end because we are going to make a ton of progress in this video, but real quick, to keep getting updates on this series, make sure you are subscribed and like this video so I know that you guys are enjoying this, and now let's get to some building. It is finally time for another mock, and this time I wanted to try to go away from some of the IP themes and just do something totally from my head. So this, I'm still figuring out as I go, but it's not going to be Lord of the Rings, not Indiana Jones, not anything like that. This is probably just going to be a fantasy kind of castle scene. I'm still figuring it out, like the layout for what I want, but I'll talk through what I'm thinking and what I have so far. One of the parameters I wanted to challenge myself and use these lavender leaves just because I have a lot of them and I feel like it would be fun to kind of challenge myself. So I'm gonna see if I can use these in probably a large tree or maybe a few trees somewhere on this build. And then I was also going to try to use the lavender bricks. So I built this wall just using them, and I might go a different direction. I don't know. It just might be too much purple for me. So the whole idea of challenging myself is cool, but I also want it to look good. So I might go away from this. But this is a wall that I was working on with this slanted part here. Just trying to get an idea for what I'm going to build for a castle wall. I'm thinking of putting a castle wall back here. But yeah, I probably will change this. This obviously is going to be water, and then I'm going to have this like brick wall along here with a little walkway, and then I think it's going to lead to some sort of gate, castle wall and gate maybe, not sure about that. And then over here I think it's going to be like a cliff wall going up to maybe a large tree that is, again, the lavender leaves. And then I'm also thinking about adding on another half base plate, maybe a full base plate. Not sure about that, but these are fully separating, so I can easily transport it, so I'm making sure to keep these fully separate. So that's what I have so far. I'm still just kind of figuring out, that's kind of stuck there, there we go. I'm still figuring out exactly the layout I want, but I want it to be a little bit immersive, and it's definitely going to be a castle theme. And I might even put some like rocks or something out here, because this is just a lot of water. So I was originally thinking maybe having a little like wooden dock kind of coming out here, maybe a little sailboat or something, not sure, but I should fill this with something. So this is really just going to be an experiment of like putting something together as I go, just kind of making it up as I go. So we'll see what it turns into, how it turns out, but I think it'll be fun. It's kind of fun to just think of something from my head instead of like copying a scene, which is what I have normally done. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into some progress and see what this turns into. Here's what the wall is looking like now with the actual correct colors in. So it's just got some sand green here and there just to add a little bit of like moss or something, and then some darker grays and lighter grays. And then over here, ignore these color plates, those are just so I can get some spacing, I guess, right? But this is kind of what the rock work is starting to look like. I think I'm just going to build a rock a little bit higher up and start the wall higher up here, and then I'm considering having this hexagon shaped tower going up maybe around here. This wall will just come into it right there, and then the tower will come up here. This will, of course, again, not be blue. I went ahead and just added an extra half base plate of depth here, just because I think it needed it. Like, I was already running out of space and nothing was gonna fit there, so I think that will just allow me to add some more interest and details back there. So that's what we're working with now. I think we're moving away from the lavender there, and we're gonna pick something else. Not sure what that's gonna be yet for the walls. I have gotten the entire wall here done, and I've been working on this wall over here, but I went ahead and decided I am actually not gonna be using these half base plates. I just keep going back and forth, but I just feel like that might be a little too deep, and it would just require a lot more pieces that would take a lot more time to get. So I'm just gonna do this cut off right here, so it'll cut partially through this tower that's gonna be right here, and then we're gonna have another tower right here and a little gate in the middle. And then we're gonna pretty drastically take this, follow this general direction with some rock walls going up here, and then there's just gonna be this walkway that gets a little bit wider, and then we have the two towers with the gate, and then we might put some very small trees on either side. We'll see about that. And then we'll have this tower, or this wall, come up a little bit higher, and I'm not sure exactly how high we're gonna cap this, but it's coming together really well. It's feeling a lot more solid and just put together. It feels really good to have this whole wall done. That's very satisfying, and it's kind of nice that that's like the front thing, like the first thing you might see is that wall, and I'm happy that it looks so good. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. I'm trying to kind of blend it in as best I can here so it kind of merges into the rock wall well, and the same back here, though it has been proving a little difficult to just get it all to line up well, but that's where we're at so far. And since I am now done working on this for now, here's what I do. I just get a new bin for this MOC, and I just dump everything into it so that I can keep my parts that I had out already for each individual MOC. So like this, whenever I'm gonna work on this MOC, I can just pull out this bin and know that all the parts that I'm working on and using, or kind of in the middle of using, will be easy to access. This system has worked pretty good for me, and I even have all of these smaller bins, each of which signify a different MOC that I started working on and might come back to eventually. But yeah, so I just have all these little bins, and if I ever want to revisit these things, I have all the parts together in a little thing. So these are just like $1, or like not even $1. I think it's like $1 for like a pack of 3 of these little bins at Target. And then these are my Container Store containers, but these ones are really nice to have. I have a whole bunch of them, and I use them all the time. So now I'm just working on building up some of the base and structure for the MOC. I just don't want to have it be so dense as some of my past MOCs have been, so this will just make it a lot easier to build off of if we have this platform kind of going and kind of leveled everything off. It just makes everything so much easier. And then before I get too far into this thing, I thought it would be smart to go ahead and put some of these clear plates down underneath the wall, just because I know that's going to be really hard to access later on. I went ahead and added all these clear plates here just so it would be easier to not have to do that later. It would be easier to do it now than to do it later, so getting all the ones that are kind of closer here to the wall, and that is already, it's just kind of fun getting all these little details in here, so it's starting to look a little better. And then I also started to put down some tiles on here because this is all going to be tiled off, and then I spaced out what I think is going to be the gate between the two towers here on either side. So I kind of know where to work around, and I need to build up some of this rock along the base of this tower so it can lay flat there. So I just need to build up some rock kind of going at this angle right here between this stud and where this piece is. Just make that look natural, and then I'll have to do something pretty similar here on the other side before we start working on this rock wall going at the diagonal here. At this point, I'm just going to work on building up the base on the other base plate platform, just so it's a little bit easier to work with. Making sure to keep the two base plates separated has been a little bit difficult. There's been times where I've accidentally connected them and then just had to kind of undo that so I can still separate them. And then I'm going to work along the wall to make sure that there's no gap between there, just using some wedge plates. So hopefully that is going to look super, super good. And these dark red wedge plates that you see here are just placeholders because I didn't have light gray ones. So I wanted to know the spacing and make sure I knew what parts I needed, but those are just placeholders. So we finally have most of the platform here done, which is just going to make it a lot easier to build up now because everything's kind of a solid flat surface. So this pathway is going to be at this level, which is going to be nice to build off of, and then it'll be easier to build some of those cliffs kind of going up from there since we have this platform now. I decided I wanted to have a little staircase here going into the gateway between the two towers. That just adds a little bit of dimension, and also solved my problem for how I was gonna get these cheese slopes, these sideways pieces, to be flush and flat. So I just raised up the level since I wasn't sure how I could really lower that, if that makes sense. So now it's just going to be this perfectly flat surface, and it just looks a little bit more interesting, I feel like, having some steps there. So I decided to try putting some greenery patches outside of like each tower. I might put some very small trees or something there. We'll see. It just felt like that might be a little bit interesting to have a little bit of greenery around instead of having it be super cold. But if I decide I don't like that, it'll be easy to change my mind and just switch that out, which I've done a lot of, just changing my mind on this build already, even here in the first video. And then in this corner down here, I've just been putting some green tiles, just like near where it's a little bit more mossier or greener. And I think that's been a nice transition there. And I just really need to get a whole lot of these tiles for all this water. And then I'll still put a little rock here, I think. But that is what we're looking like so far. The tower, I'm gonna do some windows, I think, like this, using some legs. Of course, that one is facing the wrong way. It's just a placeholder for now. But I think that'll look pretty cool because it's kind of a cross. It's kind of hard to see from this angle, but it does make a little cross, but it's a little bit more detailed and interesting looking. And I think when it's like a dark background, it'll be easier to see that shape a little bit better. And then the back is looking like this right now. Nothing great. And honestly, I'm probably not going to put too much attention to the back. I just want it to... Yeah, I'm just more focused on the front, but I guess if I can make it interesting on the back, that's great too. Maybe even some like detailed interiors for the towers, but besides that, probably not much else, because this is just going to be a rock cliff, so maybe, I don't know, maybe a cave or something, but I don't really know what would make sense over here. That's the thoughts for now. We'll see what this thing turns into. It's already transformed quite a bit here just as I've changed my mind. But that is where we're going to end off this first video. Let me know what you think of me doing some non-movie related mocks. And while you wait for the next update video, here is another video that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Thanks for liking and subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.